Okay. Good afternoon and welcome all to our today's leadership talk. Yeah, I also part of the knowledge series, and today we will be having a different kind of a topic from our always. Generally, we have topics more on food, but today it will be a slightly different kind of a topic. So before we invite today's speaker, I would like to walk you through the introduction to the chamber as well as the activities that the chamber has done. Just one second. Okay, thank you. So the chamber was founded in 2020 with an official launch on 1st of March 2021. And since then, we have, in a year and a half, we have done almost more than 200 different activities, be it such talks, sub knowledge series, which are also all available on our YouTube channel at CSMB India. And all our past activities, including our 5 quarterly magazines, are also available on our website at csmb.org.in. And we are very much active, so please follow us on all the social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, as well as LinkedIn. Next, please. And as the name suggests, the chamber was founded to advance the small and medium businesses, and we work very closely with various micro, small, medium enterprises, which are the backbone of Indian economy, employing more than 11 crore people. And especially due to COVID and post-COVID, we are trying to make this sector even more resilient and a bigger and a stronger backbone of the Indian economy. Next, please. The chamber was founded with certain objectives in mind to represent various MSMEs in different forums, be it in front of bureaucrats, be in front of political groups. We are also helping farmers to become entrepreneurs, helping them get forward linkages through buyer-seller meets. We're also trying to bring different stakeholders like research institutes like CFTRI or ICT or NIFTEM, and making people aware of various government schemes and policies. We have kept hearing on PMFME or the PSI, or also schemes such as Samadhan or GEM portal. And all of these in past, our experts have come on our platform and have shared those details. So if you have missed any of our past sessions, feel free to visit our YouTube channel, subscribe it, and also you can hear the expert talk on the YouTube channel. Through a portal called Food Tech Pathshala, which is an e-learning portal, we are trying to upskill and also fill the skill gap for food industry, the fresh graduates, and what the skill sets they have versus what the industry is expecting. So that gap we are trying to fill through the Food Tech Pathshala initiative of ours. And we are also working with a lot of startups to take them abroad. Also, there's an exhibition in September happening in Mumbai on 14th to 16th, which called Annapurna. And in fact, also like to announce that we have been able to get the MSME subsidy for people with Udyam registration. So if you have Udyam registration and if you take a stall there, 50% subsidy is available for the fees that you pay. You will get it back as a subsidy. So I encourage more and more entrepreneurs to take part in that exhibition, which was basically through the efforts of our chamber. Next slide, please. We have been very fortunate to have a strong advisory board with very well-known people in the field of food and allied. Next slide, please. And also a very strong core committee, which is spread across various states, including Gujarat, Goa, and Northeast. Next slide. And we also run various initiatives. Next, where trainings such as through these weekly series or knowledge series we are doing. We also have a startup buddy program where we handhold and incubate startups right from company formation all the way to taking the products to the market. Through Food Tech Pathshala, we have trained more than 10,000 students where different topics of food, food science, food technology are also available. More than 40 courses are available, and as we speak, we are adding more and more to it. Through the investor network, we have had two different such conclaves called FundQuest, one in Nagpur in March and one in Mumbai in April. And we'll be having one in September during Annapurna, one during in Bangalore in September, and probably another in Gujarat in October. So we are helping startups find investors, something similar to what we have seen in a Shark Tank India. That kind of a activity also we do. We have a technology transfer cell. We have a very dynamic magazine called Purna Brahma, which comes out every quarter. Recently, we launched our 5th edition at the hands of former Chief Secretary Shri Swadhin Kshatriya ji, which was on millets. So if you have missed any of these magazines, they're available on our website and you can download and view it at your leisure. We have created a lot of forward linkages for many of our members, especially in the food space. As I said, we are also connecting these members to the government agencies, to the foreign agencies, also conduct various study tours. We have had 3 factory visits virtually in last 6 months. So if you have missed any of those are also, some of them are also available on our YouTube channel or on our Food Tech Pathshala portfolio. And then we also realized that women entrepreneurship needs to be promoted, and we have a special cell which looks after women entrepreneurs. Next slide, please. Next. You can next. Yeah. So some of our achievements have been that more than 250 startups are in our startup buddy program. More than 15 startups have pitched their ideas to investors in those 2 programs I mentioned to you, and some of them have already got funded or are in advanced stages of due diligence. Through our buyer seller meet, we have been able to engage and find markets for some of the members, especially in the food space. And we have brought various technologies that are available. We had a few people from Germany. Yesterday also I was talking to some startups from Israel who are ready to transfer the technology in India. And of course, our own research institute, academic institutes have developed various technologies in the space of food, are already brought on our platform. Some of them have delivered their talks or are associated with us. Next slide, please. So I appeal and ask everybody, whoever is interested can become our member. Next. Next. And we have tried to keep our membership fee as low as 2,500 per year. If you're a farmer or you're a student, you can become a member for a year by paying only 500 rupees. So with this, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Diksha or anybody in our team. These are my number and my email address. So if you want, you can reach out to us and feel free to ask any questions that you may have listening to me. And I take this opportunity now to introduce our today's speaker, Mr. Sanjay Atle, who is going to talk on a very different topic than usually what we have. And as we all know, especially with COVID and news of upcoming recession, especially in US and Europe, we felt that this is the right time to talk about VUCA. And so I take this opportunity to introduce Mr. Sanjay here, who lives in Mumbai and has been associated with Leap to Excel for over 3 years. He works in the area of growth consulting and leadership development for SMEs and large corporates. He is a lending industry veteran with a total work experience of over 32 years. He has held senior leadership positions across private banks, large NBFCs, and HFCs. He currently serves on the board of 3 finance companies as an independent director. His last assignment was that of an MD and CEO of a large housing finance company. For the majority of his career, he has worked as a chief risk officer in large NBFCs. He has also worked in office automation and telecom industry for close to 10 years. While working for various banks, NBFCs, and HFCs, Mr. Sanjay has developed a deep understanding of the SME businesses in India and hence decided to pursue consulting and work with SMEs in various development activities. Mr. Sanjay is known as a people person, is a trainer and a certified professional coach, having acquired his ACC qualification from the International Coaching Federation. He specializes in coaching senior corporate executives and entrepreneurs. We are very honored, sir, and I'm sure with your background, our members and other SMEs and people who have joined here on Zoom or watching us on YouTube will benefit from your talk today. So over to you, Sanjay sir. Floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Nileshji. I'm very happy to be here. And the first thing I noticed prominently is the chamber is just 2 years old. So I thought this was like a very old institution, but when you said it's founded only in 2020, so you actually got founded during the Corona pandemic. So that must have given
Yes.
you a very different kind of a start, I'm sure. So today,
Yes.
as you mentioned, the
Thank you.
topic is very interesting. Challenges of growth in the VUCA world. With me, I have at least four colleagues from Leap to Excel. I could see their names on the screen, and with me, Abhay Desai, who's been talking with you, Nilesh, earlier, is also going to co-present with me. So I'll straight away get into the topic. Time now is 3:15. I have a presentation that will run for about half an hour, and we will keep about 10 to 15 minutes per question answer if there are questions, and about 5 minutes I'll spend to uh, talk about Leap to Excel and who we are and what we do. So if I can share my screen, I will just. Right. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, Sanjay.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
overcoming the challenges of growth. Now, very clearly, there is one thing upfront I must say is the whole motive of a business is profit. Some of you may be surprised with the very first sentence I said. Yeah, the motive of the business, if it's a commercial establishment, is to survive, grow, and make profit. And sustainable, profitable growth is what every businessman wants. Now, what are the challenges in doing that? And it's a very commonly known fact that, especially when it comes to small and medium businesses, all businesses start small, of course. And there's enough statistics available on the Ministry of MSME's website and multiple other databases that SMEs have a high mortality rate. A lot of SMEs don't survive beyond first 2 years, and that number is a staggering 50% plus. So more than 50% small businesses, when they start, they're not able to survive beyond 2 years. And that's a very scary number. And the only reason, or the majority times, the reason is not being able to arrange money or capital to survive. So growth capital generally is an issue. So as SMEs or as business owners, you have a great product idea or a service idea. You have a business idea. You are a master of your field. But you need not and obviously cannot be a master of everything, including finance. You are not a chartered accountant necessarily. You may be an engineer. You may be anybody else, but you are in business. Surviving and growing is a different ballgame than running your day-to-day business. And those are the basic things which we will really get into today. So, as a small business owner, there are a lot of questions on your mind all the time. There are a lot of problems and challenges that you have all the time. Some of you may not be even able to sleep well in the night because of those problems. So, what do I do as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, to not only survive but to grow and grow profitably? Right. So, are you today finding it difficult to cope up with the uncertainty that's around you? When I say uncertainty, it could be of hundreds of types. So there's a lot of uncertainty in every business because nothing is predictable. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Right? So there's uncertainty all around. Are you, for some reason, getting stuck or feeling confused on how do you grow? How do you really scale up and survive and grow? That question will be always on your mind. You have challenges that just refuse to go away. In fact, they keep increasing. New challenges will keep coming your way because you're an entrepreneur. And you must be wondering what to learn and unlearn in such a situation so that you continue to grow. I must say upfront one thing, that I always have a huge amount of respect for the business owners fraternity, because you have taken the risk. You did not choose an easy path after having acquired, let's say, your qualification, you are an engineer or whatever. You did not choose the easy path of getting into some high paying job. You took the risk. You're supporting many, many families. You are adding to the Indian economy. You're adding to the GDP. And that is why I really want to salute all the entrepreneurs for doing what they're doing. There is a concept called SWOT. I'm sure you know this. SWOT: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that can be found for any single entity, whether it is an individual or a business or whatever. So, as Nilesh mentioned, I have been working in the SME sector for a very long time, and at Leap to Excel, we majorly work with small businesses, helping them grow. In the process, I have acquired a lot of first-hand experience of dealing with SMEs. What problems do they really face? What are their strengths and weaknesses? So I'm going to, on the next slide, show some of the things in brief. What are each of them really? So I have created something which I like to call the SME SWOT. What are the strengths? Gut feeling. That's the most important thing. Someday you decided you want to get into business. Gut feeling. You have quick decision making ability. You have to continuously take decisions. As we say, managers have to keep taking decisions. The biggest thing, as I said, is risk taking ability. You took the risk. You did not find the easy option of getting into a job. You have a business location or product exclusivity. Sometimes you are in a place which is best suited for your kind of business, or you have an exclusive product which not many others can do easily. So that exclusivity or the location itself could be an advantage. In general, as a business owner, you have broad level knowledge, macro level knowledge on basics of banking, accounting, taxation, purchases, logistics, etc. That's a strength. You have your own value system, self-developed leadership values, because you're leading a team of people. You're leading a lot of people. You may have patents or some proprietary goods that only you can make, though I have a doubt how many SMEs really go for patents, and we will talk about that later. So these are some of the strengths which I clearly see as business owners. Some of the weaknesses that we have observed over the years: market reach or marketing reach, and willingness to spend on marketing activity, resistance to spend for long-term objectives. And that resistance, I understand, is not because of the will, it is because of the ability to raise money or spend money on such long-term things. Now, always looking generally at price or cost and not value. I'm sure you understand this very well. Price or cost and value is very, very different conceptually. So there is a tendency, and again for the limitation of money, that you look at the money that you're spending, you look at the price you're paying to get something, but may not be always looking at the value that you will derive by spending that money. I have clearly observed this in my lending business. I have been into banking and lending for at least 20 years. And I have appraised thousands of SME owners or SME businesses to give them loans. And I have understood this very clearly, that there is a tendency to divert the business profit for personal use. This may not be uniform everywhere, but there is a tendency. There is generally a thin line between business finance and personal finance. Right? And this is something which is very critical to know. It's a weakness which others see and you don't possibly know. It's a blind spot for SMEs. When banks give you loans or appraise you for giving loans, they look at this very minutely. Are you buying fancy cars or fancy offices or spending on things which may not be necessarily for the business? They look at all that. Sometimes there is a tendency to ignore innovation, or when it comes to investing in research and development. This again could come from the fact that money is difficult to get. I understand that, but it's a weakness which is there in the sector. And also believe that marketing or branding is an expense and not an investment. I'm sure you will agree somewhere that spending on marketing is an investment, because that's the way to grow your business over a period of time. So those are some of the weaknesses that I wanted to list down. When it comes to opportunities, Make in India is the biggest initiative that we have seen in the last few years, and it's already giving huge results. There are a lot of PLI schemes the government has launched, and there are so many other incentive programs which the Ministry of MSME and the state governments and local industrial bodies, they keep coming out with. There's a huge support in exports from the government side. The regulation is becoming easier for the businesses. So ease of doing business, as we say, is getting better and better day by day. So these are some of the opportunities that are existing in front of you. And when it comes to threats, what are the threats for your existence? Cheaper substitutes or imports. We've all faced this for last 20 years or so. Whatever you want to make here, you can get the Chinese product in 1/3 or 1/4 of the cost. So China invaded the whole world with their cheaper products. They just dumped their products on the world. Then there are economic pressures or margin pressures. You want to sell a product at a particular profit, but there is a pressure on the profit or on the margin because of competition or because of any other reason. Underutilization of capacity could be an issue with you. You have created a large capacity, but you are not able to use it fully. Similarly, inadequate and untimely availability of finance or credit, and more importantly, ineffective or in non-existent monitoring and feedback mechanism. You may not have a support system who will monitor you and tell you what you're doing is right, not right, what you need to change or improve. Also, feedback mechanism. In corporate sector, large corporates typically, there is a proper system around monitoring and feedback and reviews, etc. In small businesses, it generally doesn't exist. And that's a drawback that you really have. So that's a small analysis of the SME sector in general. Then coming to today's topic, VUCA. I'm sure you would have heard this term quite a number of times. So what does VUCA really mean? We live in a world today which is volatile, changing all the time, uncertain. There's a lot of uncertainty around everything. There's a lot of complexities that are involved in every aspect of doing business. And there is a lot of ambiguity, lack of clarity. Right? So this term has been used for more than 10 to 15 years that I am at least hearing. So VUCA world. Now, if this is the reality, what does it really mean for us? Volatile, constantly changing, unstable, right? And moving very fast. The world has become so fast today, sometimes you fear for the speed. Uncertainty. There's a lot of unpredictability and difficult in planning. So unpredictable nature of surroundings and your own business. The world has become complex, so have businesses and business processes. So complexity, very difficult to understand kind of environment or processes or the ecosystem. And by ambiguity, we mean there's a lot of gray. Not everything is black or white. There are contradictory demands. Your customers want something, the government regulation says something else, your employees may want to do something else. You have your own personal desire to do something else. There's a lot of contradictory demands. As an entrepreneur, you get pulled up in all the different directions. And obviously, it's not easy to manage the show in such circumstances. So that's what the VUCA world is all about. Now, if this is the situation, what do I do as an entrepreneur? How do I handle this situation? So here we're going to talk a little bit about how do you survive in this VUCA world. So as we know, V stands for volatility. How do you combat volatility? I would be actually happy to get a couple of answers if any of you are willing to say what are your ideas? How do you survive in the face of volatility? Does anybody want to share any thoughts here? We can make it a little interactive. When there is volatility all around you, what do you really do?
So there's an answer in chat box.
Okay.
Hold existing cash.
Hold existing cash. I love that response. Yeah. So there is an answer in the chat box. What do you do in terms of volatility? Yeah, hold on to existing cash. But the moment you say hold on to existing cash, it puts a limitation on growth, right? Or even day-to-day business, day-to-day operations. Yeah, but that's a great answer. Hold on to existing cash, and we always say cash is king. So volatility, one of the answers that has come from one of the participants is holding on to existing cash. Yeah, survive, conserve your cash. Okay, so we move on. So for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, how do you really take measures? So to combat volatility, what you need to have is a strong and solid vision. When you started the business some years back, let's say 5 years back, 10 years back, you had a vision, you had an idea, you wanted to do something in terms of a business idea. What is that vision? Is it holding on today? Are you working as per that vision? Is that vision guiding you? If not, it's a great idea to revisit the vision and say, what did we really start for? What do we really exist for? So if there is volatility, I need to revisit my vision and say, what is it that I had started to set out to start? To combat uncertainty, we need a lot of understanding. The uncertainty could be about your existence tomorrow, about your survival tomorrow, about your ability to manage the supply chain, about your ability to get the raw materials tomorrow morning in order to continue production. There's a lot of uncertainty. We need to have a deep and proper understanding of everything that is involved in the business. This is not to say that you don't have the understanding, of course you have. But in terms of steps to control the uncertainty, a deeper understanding of everything that's part of the business, your processes, your machines, everything, your people, importantly. To combat complexity, you need clarity. Now, these are easier said, these are very simple words that I'm using here. But the way to combat complexity, business is complex. What do you need? You need clarity on how to conduct yourself in those complex situations. Also, some bit of ability to predict what could happen tomorrow. What's the way the world is changing? What are the emerging trends? That kind of clarity. Where is the market moving? Where is the customer demand moving? How technology is changing? So that is the complexity, and that is the clarity you need to have around each of the elements of your business. And the last point is ambiguity. Ambiguity, we said everything is not black or white. There's a lot of gray. For that, you need to be agile. Ability to quickly move on your feet. Ability to sense and judge the environment around you, and to take steps quickly to mold yourself or to adapt yourself according to the changing world. So that ambiguity can only be fought with agility. So these are some of the things we put in place, given our experience of dealing with this segment, given what we have seen in the Indian economy. And these are true even for bigger businesses. It's not necessarily, but when it comes to small and medium businesses, things become more complex. They become more multiplied. So that's what we wanted to put here, that the world is changing fast, is becoming faster at a frightening speed. There's a lot of volatility around us. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of complexity. Now, how do I survive? I started this business with a vision. I want to grow this business. I have a dream of making it to the next level, 20 crores, 50 crores, 100 crores, coming with an IPO, listing your company, exporting. You may have multiple goals. So how do you really reach there understanding the volatility around you, understanding these conditions that are surrounding you. Moving on, I have listed here some challenges or the problems that you encounter on a regular day-to-day basis in running your businesses. The problems or challenges are never ending. Like we said in the very first slide, the challenges are always there, never ending, and new kind of challenges. So newer and newer challenges and threats. So suddenly you see production process changing, new machines with AI ML capabilities coming up, full automation happening, the speed of manufacturing going up drastically. Suddenly somebody is importing a product at half the cost. Your products are getting copied because if you not have a copyright or a patent, your products could be copied. It's very easy. Similar looking products could be sold very cheap. So those kind of threats and challenges are there, and new challenges are emerging. When I say new challenges and threats, one interesting example that comes to me related to information technology or your data management or your websites. Your websites getting hacked is a very unthinkable kind of a threat, which maybe some years back didn't even exist. So those kind of things all are there all around you. Now, who had thought there would be a pandemic for which there will be a 2-year lockdown? Till 2019, none of us had even heard the word lockdown. And I still remember the day, the first day of the lockdown happened as a trial, and then there was a month-long lockdown that was imposed. It was impossible for any of us to think that we will have to sit at home. We will have to keep our factories shut. You can't venture out to do anything. It was impossible to think. But we survived 2 years of a lockdown and 6 to 8 months of a very strict lockdown. Now, this was clearly unthinkable. Changing customer needs or changing customer demands is a never ending problem. Customers always want novelty. Right? Now, technological obsolescence. Technology is changing so fast that what you are doing today may not hold tomorrow or may become completely obsolete. So whatever investments you have made in the machinery or in the softwares or in systems may suddenly become obsolete. So completely going down the drain. Now, how do you do in such a situation? Increasing compliances, government regulations changing, new laws coming up, GST coming up. Now, because GST came up, you had to invest in a GST software. You had to hire a specialist to manage your taxation. So increasing compliances of different types, pollution related norms, maybe. Liquidity crunch is another thing which is a never ending problem. You want to spend money on certain things today, but you don't have the liquidity. Now, suddenly, where do you get the money for? You have to pay salaries at the end of the month. You have to pay your suppliers on time. And if you don't have the money, you're stuck. So liquidity crunch in the sense not having enough liquidity or not having it when it is required. That is what I mean by liquidity crunch. Yeah. Moving on, supply chain issues. Now, you may not get supplies on time. Your raw materials may not reach on time because of multiple issues. Next, there is high debtor days. We will talk about working capital, but the biggest element of working capital is your debtors. You do a great amount of business, you do great sales. Most of your sales happen on credit. And if you don't have liquidity, the reason is you're not able to collect your debtors on time. You're not able to collect your receivables on time. And that's getting worse day by day. People who used to pay in 30 days are now asking for 60 days or 90 days. So high debtor days is choking your finances. How do you really invest in expansion? How do you really invest on supply chain? How do you really invest in increasing supplies of raw materials? So everything gets stuck because of high debtor days. Nileshji initially talked about a possible recession, and all of us would have read those, reports either in the newspapers or some website or LinkedIn or somewhere that India has a very negligible chance of facing a recession. How true, we don't know. We'll only know in time, after some time. But yeah, recession is a looming threat all the time. There could be a recession, the whole economy may get into a recession, and then obviously you suffer, and smaller businesses suffer more. So recession could be a real threat. Manpower concern is a big threat for all the SME businesses, the small and medium businesses, and it is multifold. When I talk about manpower concerns, you may not be able to attract the right talent because number one, you are small, you don't have a big name or a image or an entity or a reputation. So the brilliant people may not want to join you. That's one thing. Second, you may not be able to pay the kind of salaries that people expect today. So that is another reason. If at all they join you, retaining them for a longer period of time is another important thing that you need to be worried about. That people come and join, but don't last for more than 2 years or 1 year. So constantly there are new people coming up that pushes your cost high, also brings in a lot of inefficiencies because people don't stabilize. So manpower concerns. Cheap imports, we spoke about this earlier. No patents. So if you don't invest in patents and copyrights and those kind of R&D related activities, it's very easy for your products and services to be copied and sold at a lower price in the market. And Me Too products, that's the first thing that we spoke. So these are some of the large problems that every business faces today. So we just listed some of them here, and whatever little discussion was possible in this limited time is what we were trying to do. Before I move on to the next one, does anybody have any insight or anything to share related to any of these, or anything that I may not have mentioned on the screen here, but you see them as challenges or threats? We could spend a couple of minutes hearing some views and voices. Chat is also fine, or you could just unmute yourself and speak.
Hello, Prashant here.
Yes, Prashant.
I see this technological obsolescence. I think this is probably, I would say, and especially with the backdrop of COVID pandemic, I think
Yeah.
this is something which is going to be one of the critical aspects as we move forward.
Yes.
The reason being, and it has to be an inclusive model. Technology obsolescence cannot come, or technology cannot come as an exclusive model, which I feel. It has
Yep.
to be inclusive. What I mean by inclusive is it should consider people and processes as part of the technology, which has to be adopted for this new or new normal or a new thing, whatever is coming up.
Yeah.
So I think, and that's a key, and especially for MSME, which are looking at probably the guidance or the coaches who can.
True. Completely agree and appreciate your sharing. So technology is changing at such a fast pace today that people are afraid of making investments. Of course, alongside we have things like software as a service, we have cloud services available, so you don't really need to invest too much in your hardware and data storage, etc. Those things are also coming up. But yes, the way technology is changing, the speed at which it is changing, and it is completely irrational or sweeping change many times. The AI ML enabled capabilities that people are building can actually sweep you off your feet. So yeah, that's very, very true. And thank you for sharing, Prashant. Anybody else has any view or anything to share on this? Okay, so let's move. In case you have anything in between, please do share. So we discussed the never-ending problems, right? And challenges and threats. So that's just one part of the side. If there is a problem, there is obviously got to be a solution. So let's see what kind of things are required. So what I've listed here on this slide is what you really need and may not have as on date, or may have in a very limited capacity or a very rudimentary fashion. So some of those things let's look at is, for example, USPs. Do you really have something which stands out? Why should somebody do business with you? Why should a customer, or why should the market buy your product or service? So do you offer something which has value, which has something unique? And if not, it's required, or it's very important to really think about your USPs. You may or may not have a market research activity or a market research team. You may not have a team, that's fine, but do you really do market research activity in order to decide where to go, where to sell your product, how do you expand your market, is export an option for you? So market research. It's not enough today to have a good product idea and start manufacturing, getting into business. But do you have enough market research available for you to survive and grow? Competent manpower, do you really have? And if not, what are you going to do about it? As we said in the previous slide, it's very difficult for SMEs to, and if you're able to attract top talent, to retain them for a longer period of time, because people have ambitions to grow. Will they be able to grow with you? Those are the issues that really come up for small businesses. Next up, do you invest in regular technology upgrades? We talked about technology obsolescence. What you buy today becomes irrelevant or old tomorrow. So what do? Continuously investing on upgrades, technology upgrades. Low cost finance. What you need but may not have, in this list, this is a very, very big item. Low cost finance. You may not have money available on the tap, obviously. But if you need money for expansion, if you want to take loans, do you have money available at the right cost? Low cost may not be the most important word here, at the right cost. And since I was, as I told you, I spent 20 years in lending, and I had given more than 50,000 crores of loans to the SME segment over last 15 years or 20 years. And what I've observed, and I feel very sad and bad about this, is when a person who's a salaried person wants to take a home loan or a car loan, they get the finest and the cheapest rates. A home loan for me, if I'm a salaried employee today, is available for less than 7%. But when a self-employed person who's a businessman wants to take a loan, the rate is not 7, it's much more. When you want to take business loans from banks, you borrow at 12, 13, 14, 15% or even more, right? So low cost finance or finance at the right cost is not available generally. And even if it is available, it is mostly not enough. You require 100, but banks give you only 70 or 60. Now, what do you do with the remaining? What do you do for the balance? So that raising money is always a big, big problem. So what you really need, but may not have or may not have enough, is low cost finance. R&D budget. You may not have the wherewithal or the resources to really invest in research and development for your products. You need it badly, you know it, but you may not have today. Now, obviously, it's a tight walk that you have to do, tightrope walk, that you have to balance on all the sides. You have to also spend on innovation, you have to do market research, and you know this all, but how do you really go about it? Optimization of resources, how do you really go about it? Requisite and assured working capital. As I talked about low cost finance, that's generally long-term finances for capital expenditure, for buying plant and machinery or investing in some other long-term expenses. But day-to-day basis, you need working capital. You need money to buy raw materials. You need to pay wages. You need to spend on sales. How do you really manage that working capital? And we also spoke about liquidity in the previous slide. So if I have to pay on first, do I have money in my bank account on 31st? So requisite and assured working capital. Do I have enough bank lines at the right cost so that I can honor my obligations on time. So that's what I mean here by requisite, meaning how much you need, do you really have that much? And assured working capital, that tomorrow morning you can issue the check confidently. Also true is high working capital turnover. How many times are you able to turn around that working capital so that you maximize your production? So effective use of working capital to increase your production and hence increase your sales. That's working capital turns, as we say. How many turns are you able to make with the limited money available? Are you able to spot new opportunities, new products, new markets? Let's say you came up with a product some 5 years back and till date you're continuing to make the same product. If you do market research, you will know that the market also requires something more which you can really make with little modification in your plant or in your process. Are you doing that? So opportunities for new markets. Today, maybe you are selling in some market, let's say Western India. But do you really know if the market exists in North or South or East? Or are you able to export if there is a demand for export? So new products, new markets is a big opportunity that you could look at. Most important, you do sales, and we spoke that your money gets choked in work debtors. You do sales, but every sale is on credit, and people don't pay on time. So your money is stuck, and you bear interest cost on it. So low debtor days is a dream everybody has, or doing sales on cash. Most of the sales. Now, if I ask you this question, and I think it will be a great, interesting thing to know. Let's say if there are 21 participants right now, and if I ask you, what portion of your sales is cash sales and how much is on credit? Could we get some answers, at least couple of answers? So just to get an idea. Anybody? Is 100% of your sales on credit? Is 100% on cash? Is 50-50? What is the ratio? If couple of you can share, it will be interesting for the whole group.
Sanjay, they can even write it in the chat box because
Correct.
that will help us in terms
Yeah.
of getting the data.
Yeah, so we have one answer from Mihir, which is less than 5% in cash, rest credit. So 95% of your sales is on credit. And if you can share this, Mihir, thanks for the answer. What's the average credit period you give to your customers? Very interesting. Thank you for the answer. 5% in cash. 30 days is the credit that you give. And to extend the question further, how many of your people really pay back in 30 days? Are you able to recover everything in 30 days always? Yeah, so thank you so much, Mihir. Mihir has given this answer. Less than 5% sales happen in cash. So 95% of the sales happen on credit. The credit period provided at the time of doing the sale is 30 days. However, the average collection period goes to 45 to 60 days. Thank you so much, Mihir. I'm really obliged with your answers. This also tells us that this completely changes your financial planning. Because if you plan with a 30-day credit cycle and if it goes to 45 to 60 days, it puts extra pressure on your resources. Your interest cost goes up. Your working capital turns come down. So you're not able to be as productive or as efficient as you would want to be. Thank you so much, Mihir. Any other answer? I just want to know how much of your sales happen in cash, how much on credit? It will be really a favor to the group if we get some more answers. Or Nileshji, you may chip in and say generally what is it for the members?
So I can tell you for us also, because we are in service business,
Yeah.
almost 100% is on credit in a sense.
Yeah.
And but I was also in product. So product also when you start off, typically you are almost 100% on credit. But over a period of time, I learned and I tried to move towards 100% on cash so that this whole problem does not arise. But typically in products, mostly it is credit, it is bill to bill, or a 15-day kind of a credit cycle, which of course gets stretched to 30 days or 45 days.
Right. Yeah, thank you so much for that. So these are some of the things which very important for everybody to understand. We got one more answer. Chaitanya says 10% cash. So 90% sales is on credit. And I'm sure there would be similar answers in terms of what's the actual credit period given to the customers and what are you really able to recover within how many days. So those are the issues the small and medium businesses face on a day-to-day basis. And since the topic we had taken today was challenges of growth in the VUCA world, so we understood what VUCA really means, how to encounter these VUCA conditions, how to safeguard your business, what are the challenges you face, how they are changing every day, and what are some of the measures that you can take to combat those challenges. The last one I want to talk about, which is in my view so critical today, data management and MIS systems. The difference between small businesses and large corporates is primarily the ability to have the right kind of manpower because they can pay good salaries and they have a brand, so people want to join them, is that they have huge amount of data. Now, I'm sure you would have heard this. Data or knowledge is the new capital. Data is the new capital. Data is the new gold. The more data you have, the better business you can do. Look at all the businesses today. Look at the Facebooks and Amazons or any Uber or any example that comes to your mind. The biggest thing they are surviving on is data. They have billions and trillions of records of data about their customers, about the market, about the products, about everything. Data is the new gold. Now, what kind of data do you have in the first place? If you don't have any data stored, how do you plan to go about it? And data is just data, it doesn't do anything by its own. How are you able to convert that data into decision making? So having a lot of information is not enough. How do you use that information for your decision making on a day-to-day basis? And that's where I use the term MIS systems, management information reports. So as a promoter, as a CEO, as a business owner, what kind of reports do you get on an hourly basis, daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis? Because MIS and data is king. Based on data, you can draw trend lines. You can do predictions. So today, a lot of technology is available where you can do predictions based on your past trends, though they may not 100% hold true because the whole world is VUCA, as we say, volatile and unpredictable, but data always helps. Data helps you not only to do cross sale or repeat sale or upsell to your existing customers, it also tells you 100 other things. So what is very important is what kind of data management do you have? What kind of reporting systems do you have? And along with that, I would add one more word, which is review systems. In large corporates, there's a huge review culture. Do you have a review culture where you look back and for review, you need data, information? So those are some of the things which you may not have or you may have in varying degree. And how do you really keep on building and maximizing on those? So with that, I have come to the end of the presentation that I had put in place. We started at 3:15. It's almost 4. 40 minutes plus is what we have taken for this. Like I mentioned, I have my senior colleague and partner, Abhay Desai, also on this call. I would request Abhay to come in and maybe, tell us a little bit about the firm, Leap to Excel. Who are we? What do we really do? And what we can do together. So Abhay, if you could.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So small introduction to Leap to Excel. So we actually started in 2016, and we actually work in two specific business areas, growth consulting and leadership development. So when we started, we had a dream of supporting small and medium-sized entrepreneurs in fulfilling their dreams. So that was the objective or a thought with which we started. And in last 6 years of span, we served more than 72 customers of different sizes from different segments and different industries. Today, we have a very strong team of 28 people with more than 25 years experience each. And they have expertise in different functional areas, which include finance, leadership, then strategy, customer and market, finance and operations. So if you have any specific issue pertaining to your business, we have a team who can support you in terms of providing the solution. A typical approach taken by us is first to study the organization and then create a small report talking about different areas where the improvement is required. So that we typically call it as a diagnostic study. And once the diagnostics is done, we present that report in front of the customer, and depending on their priorities, we actually help the organization in terms of improving or fulfilling their dreams. Sanjay, actually, I'm not using the presentation. I'm just giving a overall brief. Okay. So no problem. So you can just go back to the vision slide, because this is the background which I wanted to share with the group. So our vision is basically a preferred partner in transformation. And mission is we partner with people and organizations to accelerate growth. And these are the 4 values on which our organization works: trust, making a difference, thought leadership, and teamwork. Next. This particular element I've already touched upon, because these are the 6 business elements we study when we carry out the diagnostic study with the customer. So we can just go ahead. So where do we focus? We talk about individual and team both. So we look at the intangible and tangible benefits, because when we talk about individual tangible benefit, you can actually see the skill part of it. Intangible is basically the mindset, which actually our team actually works with different organizations. For team, it could be a cultural change, and in terms of tangible, it could be systems and processes. So this I've already talked about growth consulting part, because the 2 areas of our business, mainly growth consulting and leadership development. A specialized area which is mentioned in the slide, which is channel development. We have a very strong team with the expertise and experience in the field of channel. They have worked with different distributors, wholesalers, and retailers through their entire career. So if you are following a particular model, okay, and you have a channel to reach the end consumer, whatever issues you have, we have different models or different modules to support you. So one of the initiatives we talk in this particular space is the distributor development intervention, which is the classical combination, okay, of 3 elements: the personal coaching, okay, which actually works on that mindset issue which was mentioned in the previous slide. We have facilitation, where we actually conduct 4 different modules: lead self, lead others, then lead change, and lead business. And then we have functional mentoring, where 2 specific breakthrough projects are selected, and our team or experts work on those 2 specific business challenges what you are facing. So that's a typical model. We call it as distributor development intervention. So these are a few of the services or models what we offer in channel development and in growth consulting. We also have another model, which is typically the Gurukul model. It's Sanjay, just go one slide below. So we talk about Gurukul, which is a 1-year intervention. It is basically keeping in mind the small entrepreneurs who are interested in going through this developmental journey or the transformation journey. So whatever I spoke about in DDI, similar exercises are done in Gurukul, and the person actually goes through that entire process of transformation. So this is what we do as an organization. As I mentioned, we have a team of 28 people, and we work with every size of organization, small, medium, as well as large. Approach I've already spoken, Sanjay,
Yeah.
so I will need not
Sure.
talk about it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So these are a few of our large and small customers, I would say. Few of the names are given here. And we have done different types of projects with these particular organizations. The first slide was talking about large corporates, and this is the small companies with whom we have already worked.
Yeah, so I stopped sharing. We had some case studies,
Yeah.
etc. But yeah, so I think since it's 4 o'clock already, I think we stop here.
Yeah. So
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your presentation. So I would like to ask participants, if you have any questions, you can unmute or put it in the chat box.
Yep.
And Diksha, if they have any specific question to address, okay, even offline,
Yeah.
they can always connect with Leap to Excel, because our
Yes,
email
sir.
ID as well as telephone numbers are already there with your association.
Yeah.
So they can always talk to us. At
Yeah,
a
yeah.
later.
You can put it in the chat box also, so no issue.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Okay, I see no questions. Okay. Yeah, I would like to raise a vote of thanks. Thank you, Sanjay sir, and thank you, Abhay sir, for taking out time from your busy schedule. A very interesting topic, very interactive session. Thank you, all of the audience. Thank you for interacting, and thank you for joining today. I'll end the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It was a
Thank you.
pleasure for us to be here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.